Welcome to another episode of Diaspora Connect on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. I have with me somebody who has traveled all the way from the United States of America to come and talk about the academic diaspora and what interventions his organization is doing to help the academics come back and give to the continent. Mr. Jeremy Coates, welcome to AAU TV and welcome to Accra.
Thank you, Ransford. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. What brought you to Accra?
So I'm here as a representative of the Institute of International Education, or IIE. We're a U.S.-based nonprofit with offices spread out all over the United States and the world. Our primary mission is, of course, to promote scholarship and increase access to educational opportunities for individuals, globally. I came here as part of the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program, which is one of the programs that IIE stewards in collaboration with various partners. We held a selection meeting here with our advisory council, which is a group of distinguished scholars from the academic African diaspora as well as African academics. And they made selections, and we also held a large stakeholder forum where we invited members of Ghanaian government as well as various stakeholders like our host fellows as well as other contributors to the program. It's been a real pleasure being here, Ransford.
Thank you very much. Can you tell me a little bit about when the IIE got involved with this Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program?
Absolutely. It's been about 9 years that we've been working on this program. We were at one point invited by Carnegie Corporation of New York, who is the funder of this opportunity, to design a short-term academic exchange program that would bring the African academic diaspora back to the continent to collaborate on short-term projects in the area of curriculum development, graduate teaching and mentoring, and collaborative research. From that point, we started designing the program, and since then, we have awarded over 500 fellowships to these African-born academics and African host institutions to conduct these activities.
You mentioned that you design curriculum. So does it mean that the program is focused only on specific subject areas or specific disciplines?
No, actually, the program is open to all disciplines. So arts, humanities, social sciences, and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Across the board, we work in all of these areas. In fact, if you look at the data, which is posted on the website, if you visit www.iie.org/African Diaspora, you'll see that the split between what we award between arts, humanities, and social sciences and STEM fields is pretty much 50-50.
Okay. So how does one apply to be a fellow?
So it's actually a two-ended application process. And before I really get into how one applies to be a fellow, I do want to emphasize that the nature of this program is to be African host-led. So responding to the needs of the African host institutions are extremely important to how we design this program and how our advisory council directs this program. So it's a two-ended application process with these host institutions who submit a project request outlining their specific needs in these three core areas, as I mentioned, and then that is matched specifically with a scholar. And that's the second part, is a scholar completes their application, and those come together and they're reviewed. Now, I do want to also say that many of our hosts do not have pre-existing relationships with members of the diaspora. So they have access to a roster during the application process where they can review each academic based on their fields of study. And then IIE, we make the connection, we facilitate the connection between that possible host and that possible fellow. And if they agree, and the host primarily agrees that the fellow has the expertise that they need, then they are matched and put forward for review.
It looks like it's a whole process in itself, a long process. So do you roll out a program every year?
So it really depends on funding, and
Okay.
The application cycles typically are are held 6 months apart at the beginning of each grant. So this year we will have another open application running from August 1st to September 30th, with selections being made sometime in November or December. However, next year we will not be hosting a competition. We do hope that we'll be able to secure additional funding to offer it the following year in 2024.
So you're talking about funding. Does it mean that you have only limited source of funding, maybe from the Carnegie Corporation, or there are other sources of funding for the project?
So at this point, Carnegie Corporation is the sole funder of the program, and we're extremely grateful that they've kept funding this up to years 9 and 10. But we're always looking for opportunities to expand funding, holding conversations with government officials, with other foundations, and other donor bodies. So far, we haven't been able to do so, but we do see a lot of opportunity as well, just to share the word that, you know, diaspora engagement is feasible, is possible, and this is a model that works.
So how difficult has it been to attract, having run the program for 9 years and having just Carnegie supporting, how difficult has it been to interact with other stakeholders to fund such a laudable project?
So I think I can't speak too in-depth about that myself, because that has been mainly the role of the advisory council. Where we sit at IIE is primarily, you know, to facilitate the program, and of course we have been able to share this program model with other countries. So we have had the success of developing a diaspora program for the Greek diaspora, the Greek and Cypriot diaspora, as well as the Albanian diaspora. We found 2 foundations, a Greek one by the name of Stavros Niarchos, and the other foundation, the Albanian American Development Foundation, and they've funded this opportunity. So I know that the Advisory Council continues to have these conversations, but looking on the outside, you can see that this program is, you know, replicable, and it's scalable as well, given that there were more funds or more donors willing to contribute to it.
Okay, we'll talk about replication and scalability, but is the program running in all countries in Africa?
At this time, we only service 6 primary countries. That is, of course, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and South Africa. About 2 years ago, we did open the program to members of the African Research Universities Alliance, or ARUA. So now scholars from Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia, the University of Rwanda in Kigali, the University of Mauritius, and the Sheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar, Senegal, are eligible to submit project requests for consideration.
Right. It's good to hear a Francophone country being part of the beneficiaries.
Absolutely.
You said something very interesting about the Advisory Council meeting in Ghana to review some applications. Can you tell us about the process and how transparent that process is?
Sure. Thank you, Ransford. All of the review criteria are published on our website, which is www.ie.org/African Diaspora. It's basically a 3-stage or 3-tiered review process. So the initial review is just a technical review for eligibility and completeness. For the second stage of review, all the applications are shared with disciplinary experts. So if your project is in, a physicist academic will review that application. At that point, they make decisions on which applications to forward for final selection to the Advisory Council. And once those arrive at the Advisory Council, they take a very close look at the considerations from the IIE reviewers, as well as their own disciplinary expertise and their knowledge and vision for the advancement of higher education on the continent.
Now, with the Advisory Council, are they all subject area experts, or when they have to review, they need external, reviewers to help them?
So of course the applications are They are subject matter experts, but they're not necessarily subject matter experts in every discipline that's presented to them. That's why we have the second stage of review with disciplinary area experts. But one of the things I encourage our applicants on is a good request or a good application is going to be understood by anyone who reviews it. It's not going to be vague, it's going to be clear with noted objectives and outcomes and hopefully long-term impact of the project activity.
Now, how successful has the project been in terms of receiving applications when you open the call?
Very successful, Ransford. There's a lot of interest among higher education leaders on the continent in hosting Diaspora Fellows and having them fill some of the gaps within their institution. There have been hundreds and hundreds of applications submitted since the program began. In our last cycle, we saw one of our most competitive high numbers that we've had of any competition, which I say is also a testament to the dedication of our hosts and our fellows, as well as their willingness to get things jump-started after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now, if an applicant is unsuccessful, do you do any follow-up?
We do notify them that their application did not pass, and then we don't give direct feedback on their applications. And the primary reason is we don't want to give anyone a false sense of security that if they fix this or that they'll automatically be selected in the next cycle. However, we do one-on-one consultations with any host or Diaspora fellow who would like to speak with us. All they have to do is email us at africandiaspora@iie.org, and one of my colleagues will connect with them and take the time needed to walk them through the project request, the application process, and encourage them to be clear and give very clearly stated objectives for their project.
Welcome back from the break. We're talking Diaspora Connect on AAU TV, and the topic is facilitating diasporic interventions in African universities using the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program as a case study. And I have been talking to Mr. Jeremy Coates, who has walked me through the application process and the success of the program so far, which is now in its 10th year, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
We've run for 9 years now.
9 years, yep.
Okay, and Jeremy is in Ghana to have an advisory committee meeting where they had actually reviewed some applications. So how has Ghana benefited from this project?
Ghana has benefited greatly from this project, Ransford. Just to zoom out and give you a little data from our overall program, this project has, fellowships have been awarded over 550 times in our host countries, and it's benefited over 170 host institutions across the continent. Now, looking specifically at Ghana, there have been over 80 fellowships awarded to individuals here, and 20 host institutions in Ghana have been beneficiaries.
20 host institutions.
Yeah, and they're receiving fellows in the area of business, economics, engineering, education. That's just naming a few. It's varied across everything. And those institutions are primarily public institutions, with 86% of our fellows going to public institutions.
So normally when these host universities apply to receive the fellows, what specifically do they require from the fellows? Is it curriculum development? Is it maybe writing joint publications, or in which areas do they really apply to receive these fellows? Actually,
all of the above. We're very open as a program to having curricula developed or joint research endeavors at various phases, whether it's the data collection phase all the way to the writing, analyzing, and publication of these and dissemination of these articles or this research. or even just mentoring graduate students. I'd say, and early career for professionals. I'd say the host institutions are really driving that. So what are their institutional needs? And our fellows aren't restricted to just working in one area. You know, they can work across those areas.
Well, Ghana, I'm intrigued that Ghana has applied for so much, and 20 institutions have really applied to tap into this fellowship program. Are there more than 20 institutions in Ghana that have applied and some have not been successful?
At this time, yes, there are some institutions that haven't applied. Actually, in this last cycle, we received a lot of new applications from these institutions who were recently technical and then became universities. So I'm excited to see how many of them will be beneficiaries in the next year. We really appreciate all their interest in the program, and especially as they grow themselves, you know, the program is there to facilitate those matches so that they can get what they need.
Okay, and with the 20 so far, how many are public institutions?
About 86% are public institutions, with the other 14% being private.
Is there a reason why there is more, or is there a skewedness towards the public institutions and leaving the private ones aside?
No, there is no preference for public versus private institution within the program. The entire process is merit-based. So, you know, it's looking at the merit of each individual project one by one. But, you know, I think probably it's a lot of it has to do with the resources that the institution has. I think some of the public institutions feel better situated to host a fellow. But we also see a lot of, you know, larger institutions with more faculty are public, right? Like the University of Ghana, you know, it's a much larger campus, so of course they're going to benefit more from the program. The same with KNUST and GIMPA. And
these fellows who come, can you give me a gender breakdown?
Yes, here in Ghana, about 86% are male and then 14% are female.
Really? Carnegie, which is funding this project, have any, you know, any discussion of, have had any discussion to bring non-professionals under this, you know, program? Because now we are looking at academics, but there are other professions that really require that you bring professionals like accountants. You know, are they not also being encouraged to roll under this program?
You know, with the amount of resources we have to run the program at this point, it really is only focused on, you know, academics and higher education development and increasing mutually beneficial engagement between institutions in North America and the continent. If there were more resources, I think it would be a fantastic idea to engage the professional diaspora. I do know there exist some opportunities out there for professional diaspora engagement.
Okay. Now, still focusing on Ghana, what are the hosts saying about the fellowship program? Do you have any idea what the host institutions are saying?
Well, yesterday, Ransford, we had a stakeholder forum where several hosts came together to discuss their experiences with the program, and it has been extremely successful. All the reception we're hearing from the hosts is it's positive. So we're hearing examples of more graduate students being mentored and having advisors and chairs and committees comprised of the academic diaspora, completing their PhDs, taking up faculty positions here in Ghana after the completion of their PhDs. We're hearing stories about successful curricula that are developed, passing the Senate with faculty members to teach and engage in those courses. And we're also hearing great news about publication, right? Lots of publication is going out from this project. We heard several examples cited yesterday of scholars and their fellows who have been able to jointly publish. And, you know, that's, of course, good for the scholar as an individual and the host as an individual. It shines a spotlight on these institutions here in Africa, showing that there is more research output. It's a great opportunity for everyone. But also, I wanted to think about not just those things and those success stories, but we're also seeing a lot of sustainability. So we're seeing these engagements continue after the fellowship period. So, and that's the real goal that Carnegie was looking for, was that you would see ongoing engagement between these stakeholders, that it's not just a one-off engagement, but it is something that is continuing. So you're seeing, we heard yesterday stories about the North American Diaspora scholar hosting Ghanaian faculty and Ghanaian students at their universities after the fellowship. And then maybe some MOUs are coming out of this. Resource sharing is happening between North American universities and Ghanaian institutions as well.
That's great news for Africa and great news for Ghana.
Yes.
But there's always a flip side to the coin. So what have been some of the challenges that have come to your table?
You know, there are always challenges when you're doing any international education program. So I do want to stress that first. It's not just, but each context does present its own unique challenges. But I also want to state that our hosts and fellows are very innovative with how they approach this. You know, if resources are scarce, I've noticed that our hosts and fellows are always able to come up with some way to respond to that and work around it and still be successful in what they do. Our fellows have been extremely positive, as well as our hosts, in the outlook for the types of engagements and the things that they can get done while they're here. So I would say, yes, there are some challenges that are encountered, but we have individuals, grantees, fellows, hosts, who are just so engaged and so passionate about, you know, developing their academic record, developing their institutions, as well as strengthening higher education as a whole in their countries. So I'd say even when those challenges present themselves, they find ways to work through it.
Well, we are wrapping up. Now you had a stakeholder convening in Accra, and so what next?
So, you know, we recently partnered with the program with the Association of African Universities. They are managing several components of our activities, and we're really grateful and proud IIE is to have established that relationship. And so next, we're going to be working with the AAU to host a virtual all-alumni convening. So this virtual all-alumni convening will bring together host fellows, diaspora fellows, and other stakeholders to discuss their experiences with the program and look forward on ways that they can continue to engage and sustain their work together.
Wow. There is a saying that a good conversation never ends, and if you want to have a discussion, we can go on and on and on, but this is where we have to wrap up. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy Coles, for coming to Accra.
Ransford.
You're most welcome to enjoy the city, and take care. This is where we bring today's episode of Diaspora Connect to an end. Continue to watch other programs on AAU TV. Take care and bye.